What kind of a mount are you looking for? A backyard pet your children can grow up with? Or a reliable trail animal to help you enjoy the high country? Do you love a reining spin or the intricate moves of the dressage arena? Do you long to be flying high on a jump course? Or does driving a Surrey with the fringe on top sound like your cup of tea? Whatever kind of equine companion you're looking for, you'll want one that will perform in a safe, obedient manner. The purpose of these programs is to help you understand mules and donkeys and learn how to handle and train them correctly. Now, we know that not everyone watching owns a mule. Some of you own horses. Well, there's something here for you too. You'll notice that these are simple, easy-to-follow lessons. They're designed to teach you a variety of correct training methods for horses as well as for mules and donkeys. The result? Whether his ears are long or short, you'll have a well-mannered, well-trained animal. This program features segments from an award-winning video series created for the equine industry by acclaimed trainer and educator Meredith Hodges. Because of this, you'll hear occasional references to the videos and also to the workbooks and field cards that are included with the video series. The field cards that come with the videos are a great training tool that can be taken right into the arena. We'll be sure to give you information on the complete training series later in the program. Now let's learn a little about Meredith Hodges and why so many people rely on her as their training consultant.
Mule people, you know what I've always wanted to teach my mule how to do is to shovel snow. Well, looky here. This is a perfect opportunity.
If you know anything about Meredith, you know that she knows how to get what you need out of a mule. Meredith's mules can compete with the horses. She goes to all the big shows. She does dressage, cross-country, pleasure, driving. She does it all with her mules. So obviously, she knows what she's doing. And if you know anything about mules, you know they're not long-eared horses. It takes a different approach to a mule to get what you need out of him.
You reckon I can get Meredith to make a tape on how to teach your mule to shovel snow? I sure gonna try. Wish me luck.
Mules are wonderful animals. They're strong, intelligent, affectionate, with a great sense of humor, and what incredible athletes. But training a mule is different than training a horse. When you're training a mule, you have to take into consideration the donkey half as well as the horse half.
The exercises in this program are designed to prepare you and your equine for any athletic activity from trail riding to the show arena. These intermediate exercises will further the harmonious relationship between you and your animal and make your riding experience safe and enjoyable.
Each week our program covers a different phase of management and training. No matter what kind of equine companion you're interested in, you'll find techniques that will help you reach your training goals and bond with your animal in the process. Just remember, the keys to success are patience, kindness, and understanding.
This week, we'll add to your mule's intermediate saddle training. You can use these methods with horses as well as mules of any age. If there are differences in technique in training a horse and a mule, we'll make sure to emphasize them. And remember, if you're retraining to correct problems or starting an older mule who has never been trained, just be sure to start at the beginning, tape number 1, and take the training in sequence, whether your mule is 2 years old or 10. By now, your young mule is used to working several times a week for 45 minutes at a time, with the last 15 minutes spent on something easy and relaxing. You're building on that solid, loving, working relationship you built from the time he was a foal. But now you're ready for the fun part of his training.
Just a reminder, Meredith's animals have not been pre-trained. You're seeing them react for the first time to her training methods.
Would you be surprised to learn that English and Western trainers teach their animals to bend pretty much the same way?
By bend, I mean when your mule's spine becomes more flexible and he will bend along the curve of whatever circles he's on. This is what a Western pleasure mule does on the rail, reining mule does when he's doing circles, what a hunter jumper does as he follows the course, what a gymkhana mule does rounding that last barrel. You name the event, and bending is an important piece of successful competition. In dressage, a huge part of your score comes from correct flexion. One way to teach your mule to bend properly is through lateral exercises.
We will assume your mule has learned to move forward with energy at walk and trot. He knows how to halt and stand quietly, to turn to the right, G, and to the left, Ha. He has also learned to back. In other words, he must be obedient and maneuverable before he can advance to the next phase of training. Now we can do a little fine-tuning on these responses by teaching him to G over, move to the right, and Ha over, move to the left. That is, he's learned to keep his shoulders and hips more or less parallel to the side of the arena as he moves forward on an angle to the right or left. It's his legs which will cross over as he moves in the direction you want. Don't be alarmed if this exercise is very awkward in the beginning. It will take you and your mule a little time to get into sync with each other, and this is what learning is all about. But it's mostly a matter of fine-tuning his obedience to your voice, rein, and leg cues. Start by closing your leg yield away and back to the rail on the long sides of the arena on a shallow but uniform serpentine. Then yield from corner to corner. Once he is moving easily from one corner of the arena to the opposite corner, try going from corner to middle, then vary the patterns to increase his flexibility. Teach G around and Ha around by setting out a cone in the center of the arena. Have your mule move in a lateral circle 360 degrees around the cone. Basically, you want him to do a long side pass on an arc with the cone in the center like the hub of a wheel. If you have difficulty in the open, you can always go to the rail of the fence and yield him from your leg along the rail, then go back to the center to try again. Once he understands the basics of lateral motion, you can teach him to side pass with no forward motion. This should be done first on the fence, then over a pole in the open, then in the open with no pole. By the way, to clarify the difference between the leg yield and the side pass, leg yield is done at a 45-degree angle, the side pass is done at a 90-degree angle. You can use a short crop or dressage whip to reinforce these cues, but remember to use the smallest cue possible. Make sure your hands and the whip are consistent and non-punitive. Use your pushing leg just behind the girth for the leg yield. Push a little further back for the side pass. Push well back at the back cinch for the turn on the forehand and the turn on the haunches. Use your crop behind your leg to reinforce all these movements except turn on the haunches. For this, use the crop at the shoulder. If your mule doesn't respond to your leg cues or the crop, you can use blunt spurs. When he side passes well on the fence, teach him to side pass in the open. Use the same cues for the side pass, but ask him to move over until he reaches the wall. Use verbal commands Ha over and G over to aid him. If you do these exercises correctly, you will soon be able to ride your mule around and through any kind of trail obstacle with him remaining calm and compliant. Some good obstacles would be ground poles, back-through barrels, and a 45-degree back-through. By giving your mule real objects to work with, he will quickly understand what you ask of him, and you will be able to refine your aids. Now you can apply those subtle cues to teach your mule to do very pretty, simple lead changes. Watch how I use the leg yield to help my mule in a simple lead change. With practice, your mule can be doing lead changes with only 2 trotting strides between. The transition to flying changes is then easy because he understands your cues and you are beginning to truly control his every motion. There's one class that even very young mules can do well in, the trail class. In fact, it's stated in the rule book that trail is a class mules should excel in compared to horses. Courses should be designed to exhibit the finesse, sure-footedness, and calm capability of the mule as a superior trail animal. After all, your mule is familiar with these obstacles. He's been working with them since he was a foal. All that remains is for you to sharpen his gaits and fine-tune his responses to your cues. Help prepare him for the obstacles he'll encounter in the show ring by making your own more complicated. Don't worry, he won't see anything dangerous like live animals or fire. Now you might be ready to take your mule to a show. After this break, we'll talk about your homework.
Colorful Colorado, with its majestic Rocky Mountains and wide open spaces, also boasts the Loveland Long-Ears Museum and Sculpture Park at the Lucky 3 Ranch, home of some of the finest mules and donkeys in the world. This working ranch is just 40 miles north of Denver. World-renowned authority on mules and donkeys, Meredith Hodges, invites you and your family for an adventure in learning you won't want to miss. Come visit the Lucky 3 Ranch, meet Meredith, her champion mules and donkeys, and take in the beauty of her long-ears art for the experience of a lifetime.
Hi, I'm Meredith Hodges, and welcome to the Lucky 3 Ranch Training Tips. The equine's lead refers to the pair of your equine's legs that are on the same side of his body that is reaching furthest ahead, or leading. If the left foreleg and the left hind leg are reaching farthest ahead, he's on the left lead. If the right foreleg and the right hind leg are reaching farther ahead, he's on the right lead. If he has successfully done his homework in the round pen, he should automatically take the correct lead on a circle. If he doesn't take the correct lead, drop to a trot and try again. If he still won't take the correct lead, go back to the round pen and school him on the lead he's missing. When he does it correctly, you can return to the open and try again. This is usually a case of inadequate muscle strength and indicates more prep work. Make a quick glance down if you need to check his lead. With practice, the feel of the correct lead will become apparent and you won't have to check as often. Riding without stirrups in the round pen, which is covered in DVD number 5 in Equus Revisited, is good practice to help you to learn to feel the leads. Most equines favor one lead or the other. It's similar to people being either right-handed or left-handed. You should be prepared to spend extra time working on his weaker side. Your animals should be trained to assume the correct lead directly from a walk or a trot from the outside leg behind the back cinch. Whenever the correct lead is not taken, slow your equine to a walk or trot and try again. Just make sure you keep your weight in the outside stirrup to help with his balance. Simple lead changes take place in the center of a figure 8. But you will slow down to a trot for a few steps before picking up the opposite canter lead. Continue practicing these simple lead changes on the diagonal and along a straight line until your equine understands that he is to change leads. Make sure he can calmly and smoothly do a simple lead change along a straight line without bobbling. To help your equine make the transition to a flying change, place a single ground pole in the center of the arena. Begin by cantering a large circle at one end. As you approach the pole, make sure you're coming in straight. Keep an even pressure on your reins with your inside leg holding him at the girth and your outside leg back and pushing him forward. Half halt as you approach the pole. Even out your legs and reins, then move your leg back behind the back girth on the opposite side for the new lead. Your goal is to get him to change both front and rear legs simultaneously. The most correct and smoothest change of lead happens simultaneously. Remember to use half halts to balance him before directional changes or changes in gait. Your goal is to train your equine to change leads in a straight line at your command, not necessarily in response to a change in direction.
Here's an engineer. How did you know that? So we go see a huge mule. Because this head, you're fine. Stroke with the head, that's all you gotta do. Okay, come on, boys, let's go. Come on.
Every owner knows that a well taken care of equine is a happy equine. More and more, a technique being used to enhance our animals' overall conditioning is equine massage.
What you have to realize is you're training an animal in their muscle tissue, and their muscle tissue has to be able to perform the task that you're asking the animal to perform. If you're having a hard time doing the advanced things, you need to go back to the beginning. The massage helps break the pattern of the neurons that fire to that muscle, that tell it to contract, to contract, to contract.
With proper instruction, just about anyone can learn to give their equine the benefit of basic massage.
I've been working on equines for a long time, and a lot of people look at you and hope that you can just come out and make an animal better. And you can't do that. It takes two pieces, the massage as well as the exercise. And the exercise is actually more important than the massage. And that's something that people really have to understand. And Meredith's tapes do that. And a lot of people don't want to take that long a time frame. They just want to do their 60 days, get on the animal and ride them. But that's not really where you can go with their backs.
For more intensive therapeutic massage, be sure to consult a professional. Equine massage not only enhances your animal's health and overall condition, it's also a deeply personal and rewarding bonding experience for both of you.
Many of you who love your horses also love your dogs. This type of massage can be beneficial for all your pets. If you want to improve your animal's quality of life, I can help. I can either teach you how to do it, or I can massage your dogs for you. Contact me at dogmassage.com.
Hi, I'm Meredith Hodges, and welcome to the Lucky 3 Ranch Training Tips. Bend means that your equine's spine becomes more flexible, and he will bend along the curve of whatever circle he is on. He should bend through his body and not just lean into turns like a motorcycle. Bending is what a Western pleasure equine does through the corners of the arena. It's what a reining equine does when he's doing circles. It's what a hunter-jumper does as he follows the course. And what a gymkhana equine does rounding those barrels. One way to teach your equine to bend properly is through lateral exercises. He must be obedient and maneuverable before he can advance to the lateral phase of training. Now you can do a little fine-tuning by teaching him to G-over, move to the right, and to Ha-over, move to the left. As he moves forward on an angle to the right or left, your equine will learn to keep his shoulders and hips more or less parallel to the side of the arena. His legs will cross over as he moves in the direction that you want. Start by yielding your equine in a shallow but uniform serpentine. Move away from and then back to the rail on the long sides of the arena. Be sure to have a few steps of straightness to maintain balance before changing his bend. Then yield from corner to corner. Teach G around and Ha around by setting out a cone in the center of the arena. Have your equine move in a 360-degree lateral circle around the cone. Basically, you want him to do a long side pass on an arc with the cone in the center like the hub of a wheel. He is yielding on the circle. If you have difficulty in the open, you can always go back to the fence and ask your equine to yield from your leg along the rail. Then go back to the cone in the center to try again. Once he understands the basics of lateral motion, teach him to side pass with no forward motion. This should be done first next to a fence, then over a pole in the open, and then in the open with no pole.
Artwork inspired by mules and donkeys is quickly gaining popularity. Tennessee mule artist Bonnie Shields has the uncanny ability to capture the fun-loving nature of these free-spirited animals.
They were like a horse, but they weren't like a horse. They had a little different body. They used their body a different way. They certainly had a different mental attitude. So they started intriguing me as an artist, and I kept finding the differences between them and the horse, both physically and in their reaction to things. So that started my love affair with the mule. When you deal with the mule, you're not always in charge. So it takes a little bit of a different kind of personality to appreciate the mule and to work with her.
She was the only artist that could really capture the essence of mules and donkeys. Because mules and donkeys are really good teachers and teachers of life lessons. And Bonnie has just been an inspiration to me ever since.
Wow, how'd it do?
Whoa. I know that all through the years, Meredith gives tours to the ranch. But what a wonderful addition to this whole ranch would be a sculpture park just for the mules and the donkeys. So I just thought it was an awesome idea. And then she let me be part of it. It's a wonderful thing, and when you come to visit the Lucky Three, it's just an added bonus. Mule people, you reckon I can get Meredith to make a tape on how to teach your mule to shovel snow? I sure gonna try. Wish me luck.
Just a wonderful human being, and working with her is always humorous. She is just funny as the day is long, and so I thought that she would be absolutely perfect as the illustrator for the Jasper series that I wanted to do.
The Daydreamers was inspired by a thing that I saw years ago. I heard about this family up in Kentucky. They'd been working tobacco out in the field with their mules. And one of the boys,
he was laying across this mule's back, laying in the shade. They'd been working, and he was resting on the back of his mule in the shade. That just kind of stuck with me, and I thought, gee, a kid like that, you know, he thinks he's stuck on the farm. He thinks he's stuck doing all this terrible old work, and he's laying up there and he's daydreaming about getting away from it all. So that's where Daydreamer came from. Sculpture's not the only thing I do. Matter of fact, I got into sculpture maybe a little later in my career. Mostly, I was known for my pencil drawings and my acrylic paintings for many, many years.
Long ears art. It may be whimsical, like a cartoon, or it may simply be breathtaking. Long ears are taking their place in the world of art, and it's the beginning of a beautiful friendship.
If you enjoy competition, there's nothing like the fun of a Western or English pleasure class. But as you might expect, there are several elements involved in your success. And there's a whole list of things that need to be done long before you even get the show bill, let alone go into the arena. If you plan to compete, you must plan on investing the time required to have your mule fitted as well as trained. Proper fitting doesn't happen overnight. It's the result of a good worming program, proper feeding, a balanced exercise schedule, and of course, the proper training. You cannot fit a mule properly the week before a show. Plan a feeding program that will furnish all the required nutrients. Feed to get a good covering of flesh, but not an overly fat body condition. And balance your feeding with exercise to keep the body hard and the mule's muscles in good tone. At the Lucky 3 Ranch, our mules only get about 2 pounds of crimped oats a day during the colder months or during training. During the warmer months or when not in training, they only get 1 pound a day. If you're used to feeding a horse, this might sound inadequate, but mules have different energy requirements than horses. A mule does just fine on less grain, and he won't do well at all on the sweet feeds that horses often eat. A mule can founder on a sweet feed because it's just too hot. Your workbook has details on feeding, so check it out. Exercise is necessary to build muscles and develop wind. Your mule should receive some planned exercise each day. Training and exercise can be combined, but keep them in balance. Your mule is getting 45 minutes of training several times a week, but between training sessions, get him out for long, relaxed trail rides where he can walk and trot out. Walking builds muscles, trotting builds muscles and develops wind. Loping will develop wind. But remember, even combined training or endurance riders rarely gallop more than 15 minutes before they take their 3-minute breaks. A good guideline might be to walk for 45 minutes, trot for 10 minutes, and lope for 5 minutes. For details about conditioning for combined training, see your workbook. Regular grooming is a must. That means a good brushing or vacuuming every day. The brushing stimulates the skin and brings out the natural hair oils that make the coat shine. No amount of shine in a can will replace the natural luster of a mule that's been brushed each day. There are many tricks practiced in clipping a mule for the show ring. Again, go back to tape number 4 for details on basic clipping information, and plan to trim your mule the day before you show. You should be trimming your mule's hooves every 6 to 8 weeks, so try to time it so a trim comes near a show. Time your shoeing the same way. You can apply a hoof dressing or baby oil before you go into the show ring, but be careful of a greasy appearance. A clear or black hoof dressing looks nice and won't attract dust, but be sure to remove it after the show because it's very drying to the hooves. Some breeds may allow a black dressing, but make sure you know what's allowed for your event. For Western pleasure, you may want to band the mane so it lies flat, and in an English class, a braided mane and tail are practically a necessity. Remember that even though a pleasure class is judged on the performance of your animal, the impression you make on the judge when you first enter the ring is important. That means you must be dressed neatly in clothing appropriate for the class. Although riding clothes seldom change in style, there are trends, especially in Western. Everything from the crease of your hat to the fringe on your chaps might change from one year to the next. So watch a show or buy a magazine or two to make sure you're comfortably up to date. Your tack must be clean and any silver shined, and your mule must absolutely glow. Be sure to be ready to go into the arena when your class is called, and many old pros say it's best to be either the first one in or the last one in to attract the judge's attention. With all these details taken care of, you can concentrate on how you and your mule perform, knowing you both look terrific. The successful showman knows all the rules to all the classes and follows correct showing techniques. That means studying your rule book. Ignorance is never an excuse. Your rule book tells you everything from proper clothing to acceptable bits and accessories. It even tells the standard the judge must go by as he or she places the class. And make no mistake, each class is judged according to the prescribed rules. A pleasure class is a good choice for your young mule because it doesn't involve any patterns, just simple rail work. Here are a few tricks to make your donkey or mule's first show a pleasant experience for you both. First, never take your mule into a class wearing tack he's never used before. This is not the time to try out a new bit. Another tip, don't change your training techniques right before a show. This is not the time to see if a German martingale keeps his head set. Trick number 3, don't enter a class you haven't trained for. A barrel race looks fun, but it won't be for you or your mule unless you're prepared. The last trick, don't school on the rail or your mule might become stuck and unresponsive to your cues to supple his body. Do all the exercises outlined in this video and he will be where and how you want him. One thing you can bet on is this. You have a much better chance of winning a ribbon if you and your mule appear to operate flawlessly on the rail. That means your cues are so subtle that no one can see them. Your mule appears to obey your commands through telepathy. All those weeks of training with the neck strap will finally pay off. Here's some exercises to help create this illusion. Watch how this works. We'll start by working on a shallow leg yield from the rail. This helps you to pass smoothly or position your mule in the arena where you want to be. Here's another exercise to help your mule slow his pace. This also gives you control over your position in the ring and who and how you pass other riders. Walk, then halt, then back. This keeps your mule light and ready to respond. He knows he may not just get on the rail and walk and walk and walk or trot, trot, trot. He anticipates you're asking for a change, so he stays responsive. Western pleasure classes want slow trots and lopes, and this exercise helps him to learn to hold himself while he goes slower and slower. In a hunter under saddle class, you'll be asked for an extended trot. Here's an exercise to help your mule learn to lengthen his stride, not just trot faster. See how I use these 4 ground poles to encourage impulsion from his rear end and lengthen his stride? Start with the poles about 3.5 feet apart. Then increase the distance between the poles to lengthen his stride. See how this works? Lengthen on the long side of the arena, sit the short sides. Then sit the short sides and lengthen on the diagonal. One thing both English and Western judges look for is the proper frame. Again, you will need to be able to ask for that frame and control your mule's body even when he's going relatively straight down the rail. Here's an exercise to help with that control. It's called shoulder in. Try it first down the long side of the arena. Sit the short side, circle in the corner, and maintain the arc. Shoulder in position down the long side, then halfway. Straighten and through the corner on the short side. Circle again and repeat down the next long side. When he gets good, you can go down the whole long side shoulder in. Just remember to give yourself time to straighten before the corner. Exaggerate your cues at first so he knows what you want, then refine them. Soon you'll be controlling your mule's body position through very subtle cues.
The end result of all this training is that when you put your foot in the stirrup and climb aboard, you've got a mule under you that's obedient, safe, and a pleasure to ride.
It's taken a lot of time and patience to get to this point. Wasn't it worth it? After all, you've got an animal with an exciting future ahead who enjoys his work, and you can't wait to see what else you can teach him to do. Isn't it exciting to see how your mule learns? Next week, we'll cover the advanced skills needed for reining, Western riding, and dressage. See you then.
Having problems? Need an accessible trainer? Whether you're just a weekend trail rider or showing, the principles of training are the same. You want a safe and reliable equine companion. Produced by Meredith Hodges, Training Mules and Donkeys, a logical approach to long ears, will help you build a good working relationship with your animal. Meredith reveals the secrets of successful maintenance and resistance-free training that can be implemented by anyone, resulting in a satisfying partnership between you and your equine. Meredith answers your training questions promptly via mail or phone. Her books are great general resources and her videos are detailed, outlining the day-to-day exercises needed to produce a versatile and dependable equine companion. Meredith's techniques work with all equines. Do you have children, grandchildren? Check out Jasper, the story of a mule. For more information, check out our website at www.lucky3ranch.com or call 1-800-816-7566.
Mules are working their way into the hearts of people everywhere. If you'd like to know more about these wonderful long-eared animals, you can contact us at 1-800-816-7566 or get on our website at lucky3ranch.com.
Dusty old quilt hung crooked on a couch in an old stone house by a lazy river. Songbirds singing to me like slow